Okay, welcome everyone to Gender Equality with Archangel Gabrielle on June the 22nd, 2022. An auspicious day. 2 + 2 makes 4, and that's the number of God. So maybe Archangel Gabriel may have planned all this. Okay, so I have set up a little meditation for the tri-flame. I couldn't find a meditation with Archangel Gabriel that was relating to gender equality exactly. So I found the tri-flame meditation. Gender equality is embedded within the tri-flame. So let's do that first, and then we'll get to the slideshow.
So let's begin by taking a beautiful deep breath of pink. And it's the pink of a fuchsia rose or a bright pink tulip, of a vibrant sunset. And just relax. Let go of the day and the week and your to-do list, and give yourself the gift and the present of being right here, right now, of being in the infinite flow of the Mother, Father, One, and the infinite flow of you. Come down to your heart. Let's first open our crown. Open all your chakras and feel them spinning and spitting out that which not of love and joy and purity and grace. See all those rainbow of sparks flying out back to the universe, back to the Mother, to be transmuted. And come down to your heart. Come down to your beautiful heart center. And feel this beautiful heart center as that perfect pinkish red rose. It's not red and it's not pink. And breathe the scent of that rose. That beautiful, rich scent of the Mother, of the Magdalena, of Gaia. Breathe it in through your nose, holding it in your chest, exhaling the debris. And with every breath, feel your rose opening more and expanding more until you, sweet angels, are in full bloom. Feel the velvet silkiness of those rose petals. Take one. It's okay. And feel it between your fingers. And rub it across your cheek. And breathe it in. That rich scent of Gaia, of the earthiness, and of the spring freshness. And at the same time, the lushness of summer. And even the fall when there's a nip in the air. And it's the last rose in the garden before the first snowfall. Feel that rose and be that rose. Now come to the center of your rose. Come to the center of your heart. That very nub. Dive into that rose. Dive into that ocean of scent and silk and velvet. And that beautiful, rich fragrance. Come to the center of your rose. And breathe. Now in that center, feel your beautiful tri-flame. Your beautiful pink diamond. And allow that to burn brightly. Now feel on the right the beautiful blue diamond of our eternal, blessed, universal Mother, Mary. And let that sparkle and dance and be absolutely equal to your pink diamond. Now go to the left and see that beautiful yellow golden canary diamond, that rare diamond. And this is the energy and the balance of the Father, of the divine masculine. And see that twinkle and surge and dance with your pink and the blue. You and we and this perfect tri-flame are a family united in heart, in love. Don't try to merge your flames. Feel them, unique and beautiful, each bringing forth qualities, aspects, energies of your unique divinity. And feel this phenomenal gratitude for yourself, for the brilliant, bright angel you are, having the courage and the valor and that enormous sense of adventure to assume form and to walk the planet during this time of enormous change and at times enormous challenge. Feed your tri-flame some gratitude, some love, and feel it begin to burn more brightly. And as these dancing flames flicker, feel them enjoining each other, dancing like the eternal tango, embracing one another, not overshadowing, but simply conjoining at the base and twirling around each other. It is not something you direct. It is something you are allowing and observing and enjoying. Feel them embrace one another in the gentlest knowing, in the most exuberant excitement of being ignited this way as a unified field of your brilliant tri-flame, and keep it burning brightly in the center of this beautiful rose. Don't let a day go by that you don't visit and ignite and dance with your tri-flame, your essence of the Father, Mother, you.
Okay. Love that meditation. Okay, so this is the cover page for Gender Equality with Archangel Gabrielle, and this is her feminine, the ELLE, and then her masculine is the EL letters in her name or his name. And I believe everyone is androgynous in the higher realms. It's when we take a physical form that we can choose what we'd like to emanate as. So yes, and she does speak to this in this channeling. So this was a quote that made sense. Where there is violence, you eliminate the presence of what creates peace on earth. So let's dive right into this channeling. So it was brought forth on An Hour with an Angel in March of 2014. And she says, welcome to you. I am Gabrielle, Lily of Love, Trumpet of Truth, Messenger of One. So when I looked up Lily, there are lilies that are called trumpets. So this little picture here is a trumpet lily. So it's no wonder she's associated with the lily. And the scent of the lily is extraordinary as well. Welcome to this time of union, of reunification, of discovery and recovery, of becoming and being. You approach many topics this day, but remember also the qualities of the Divine Mother, which are constancy and continuity. The Divine Feminine continues on in all of you, as do these qualities. Do the qualities of all the divinities above and below sit within thee? Are they available to you? Do you engender them? My beloved ones, of course you do. And this is a significant shift. It is the shift from division, from competition, from jealousy, from control, to unity, connectedness, community, balance. Okay. We do not ever minimize any situation in which conflict, confrontation, violence is present, and understand it is not a matter of who is right or who is not, because where there is violence, there is no right or wrong. And you say to me, Gabrielle, how can that be? For we fight for freedom. We fight for liberty. We fight for fairness and equality. And dear hearts, I understand that, but where there is violence, you eliminate the presence of what creates peace on earth. Now, Michael has spoken to you. My beloved brother has talked to you about all of this coming to the surface for clearing and the desire within the human heart for the ending of all conflict, all violence, all war. And it is true. People, human beings, the collective and the individuals are tired of mayhem. But it is fitting that we speak of this, especially when we're speaking about gender equality, because it is also based on lack of balance. And it is based on the lack of balance of one party believing they have the right, the inalienable right to control or tell another in any way, shape, or form what is acceptable, what is freedom, what is allowable. The human race, the collective, is at a point of evolution, and that is why I've pointed out that it is unity and community, change and shift that are the themes of your time, but it cannot be done at the expense of another. That is not acceptable above or below. So this, it's interesting because I picked the universal law of unity for the card to show when I advertise that my cards of balance. So it's all about unity right now and balance. So cards of balance. Yeah. And this is Sanat Kumara as well, our universal logos and planetary logos. And he carries a golden scale of balance. So yeah, it is balance, balance, balance. Okay, and then back to Archangel Gabriel. But let me also suggest to you, my beloved children, that it is also not acceptable to sit and worry and worry and worry and to decline or descend into fear. Because what does that do? Well, what it does, dear hearts, is it lowers the vibration, not only of the energy that you're working with, and that is which available to you, but it lowers the vibration of the entire planet. You are the light holders, you are the love holders, you are the showers of the way. So if you are descending into fear and chaos and concern, then what you're doing is you're not holding up your transmitter, your torch, you're not ringing the freedom bell. What you are doing is you're putting yourself on an even playing field with those in the chaos. So I ask you, is this troublesome? Yes, absolutely. Whether there is a situation in a private home, whether it's spousal abuse or child abuse or elder neglect, that is cause for concern. And when there are nations warring, that is cause for concern. So I'm thinking that we should be focusing on Tuesday night to sending more love into all the wars on the planet and into any kind of abuse that's happening. Okay. So, and this came to me, I had searched years ago on a definition for peace. And I found Serapis Bay, and I don't really know when I found this, but this is a most amazing definition of peace. So peace is the freedom to be the fulfillment of who you are, of your divinity. Peace is when you awaken or go to sleep, and every moment in between, when you know and feel you are in harmony, not only with your immediate environment and those who surround you, but with all. Peace is knowing the guarantee that there is harmony, that you are not even aware there is potential of harm, of war, of starvation, and behaviors that make you fearful and limited. It is so much more than just feeling safe or feeling that you can go to sleep without fear. Peace is balance, and it is balance in all things, in all realms. I love that. So I wanted to put that in because Gabrielle's talking about balance and peace as well. Okay. So back to Gabrielle. Let us call it what it is. And of course, what all war has been about, and that is a power struggle. It is a power struggle where the wills of people are being tested and the demand for freedom is being tested. You say, well, yes, Gabrielle, that is all very well and good, but when you have a small Volkswagen or Fiat against a monster truck or a tank, there's really no competition. Do not forget, not merely the story or the myth, but the power of David and Goliath. It is not always so that those with the larger power are those that end up in control. This will not be permitted. And so this channeling came through, just a reminder, it came through in 2014. This will not be permitted to deteriorate into a European war or a global war. So we're in 2022 and we do have a European war. Now, are there many players flexing their muscles? We would be hard put to find any that are not flexing their muscles. But in a way, this is beneficial because everybody who is not at the table, but in the room is showing their particular level of interest and wanting to remain a global power. Now, one of the reasons I think we do have a European war is that it's right at the surface. We were kind of pushing it down in 2014. Now the energy has elevated the really deep feelings of war to bring them to the surface. And that may be why we now have a war in 2022. Before the clearing, of this deep, deep old energy. Okay. And then she goes back to why this war, what this war is about. This is not about riches buried under the Black Sea. Is this a factor? Yes. Is the access to other waterways a factor? Yes. Is this about oil and petrodollars? Yes. But it's primarily about several powers who wish to obtain and maintain global dominance, flexing their muscles. At what point does the global community simply turn and say no and declare that those at the table or in the room hiding in the corners that you may have an interest, but you do not have decision-making authority? So, and believe that she is pointing to our inner work and how important it is to balance the masculine and the feminine within. So the balancing the tri-flame every day, like she said in the meditation, is super important. And it's just where we hold the old belief systems is what we picked up from family patterns that we absorb when we're really little, 0 to like, well, our childhood. So in those formative years, we absorb without even realizing it, belief systems of gender inequality. So it's good to be super aware of what we're carrying. Is this creating a situation because it is in Europe? That it makes many nervous because of the memories of recent war, of recent mayhem. Of course it does. And in a perverse way, that is one of the benefits of having this situation arise on what you think of as the European continent, because people are aware of what it can lead to. It is ironic in the saddest meaning of the word that you have had war, devastation, mutilation, killing, subjugation in its worst sense of the word in the Middle East for decades upon decades, and it has been observed. There have been billions and billions of dollars spent upon these wars, and yet still there has been no resolution, and no one, no superpower or other power has been sufficiently concerned to, in a higher dimensional, love dimensional, star dimensional way, truly negotiate peace. This is abhorrent and continues to this day. It continues in Africa, it continues in Latin America. And yet, because it is in an area of primary interest, monetarily and otherwise, this gains status. So let us use this. You, my beloved light workers, and we, the company of heaven, your star brothers and sisters, let us use this situation and see the power mongering, the positioning, the greed and jealousy, the desire for control and manipulation. Let us see it for what it is and call a halt to it once and for all. So we can, in meditation, do this work. And also, maybe we should be focusing a little bit more on our meditation on Tuesday night, but we'll have a discussion. So this is a meme I found from a quote from the Dalai Lama. And he says, if every 8-year-old in the world is taught meditation, we will eliminate violence from the world within 1 generation. So that's how powerful meditation is. So the more it comes into the school system, the better. And all the groups doing the meditations around the world. Okay. There is much discussion, especially in the lightworker community, that this is a situation where Obama and Putin are working behind the scenes to arrest the cabal. Let me assure you, my beloved ones, that is not so. They are all working in self-interest. And if it should defeat the cabal, isn't that even better? But that is not the purpose of this. It is national interest and an ego that demands that their status be recognized. It is working for self-interest that is against the will of some people and against the will of others. Long ago, this is one of the primary lessons that your star brothers and sisters learned the hard way. Yes, during the intergalactic wars, with massive devastation of planets, of entire populations, of sectors, and they have learned there are steps to peace. There is a process to achieve peace within and without. And it requires setting aside what one would think of as self-interest. And that self can be a nation or a group or an individual, because it is an acknowledgement that war and devastation, conflict, mayhem only lead to self-destruction. In the end, and I'm talking very short end here, it accomplishes nothing. How can anything be accomplished when there is blood running in the streets? Yes, you say, well, there is this faction and that faction, and there has been some controversy about who is doing what. And she says, raise the vibration. The mother herself has given not merely you, but all upon the planet her gift of clarity and of purity. Okay, so now clarity spins in the fourth eye, and I can feel them working on that chakra right now as we're talking here. And then purity, there's a chakra right above the head that's the purity chakra, but also the transmutation chakra, the high heart, is when we bring all energy back to original purity. And that's loving who we perceive as our opponents. So no matter how warlike things appear, there is a way to love within. And it's not that when we do the deep forgiveness work that we need to invite these people over for dinner. There are natural boundaries that occur when we do the deep forgiveness work. So Archangel Michael did say that very clearly. Forgiveness does not mean you need to invite someone over for dinner. It's just forgiveness sets us free and therefore helps set the whole planet free. Okay, so she says, using our clarity and purity, we can see through what's really happening. This is a ploy for power and nothing more. And this is a ploy with many players of the old third dimension trying to maintain their position and reality, and it is not permissible. It is not allowable, not in any dimension or scenario, and certainly not in the scenario of the mother. As her central administrator, this is Archangel Gabrielle, I tell you, this simply will not be permitted to degenerate to this level. Now, does it take away attention from what many are focused on in this moment, which is, shall I call it, abundance program or financial equality? Yes, it does. And why does it do that? Again, because much of the impetus behind financial institutions, governmental and intergovernmental international institutions wanting to have revaluation of certain various currencies has to do with the value of goods. Do not delude yourself that where they are concerned, it is of a higher purpose. Okay, their focus is on the value of goods and particularly the value and the need for oil and gas. So Russia believes that they are in a perfect position, not only to claim territory, not only to stand strong for what they call their people, but also for access to the Black Sea, and they can hold the rest of Europe hostage because they have oil and gas. There is manipulation here with China, with Iraq, with Iran, but much of the Middle East and the United States. Now you say to me, Gabrielle, you paint such a dismal picture. I wish I'd asked to speak to Michael. She says, I do not paint a dismal picture. I'm simply pointing out the shenanigans that are going on behind the scenes and the manipulations that have been kept from the populace, from the collective for far too long. War, any form of war in any place upon the planet, whether it is fought with aircraft or submarines or tanks or machetes, is no longer acceptable. Now, you know, my beloved ones, we always say to thee, we do not interfere with free will, but the free will of your collective that is being heard on high and throughout the galaxies is that you desire peace, that you are tired of this type of conflict that ravages your hearts, that gives you sleepless nights. You are becoming, and we are proud of you, more and more balanced. But in that balance, you are also becoming more and more unified upon the grid of Gaia, upon the central grid, upon the universal grid. And in that, you feel the pain, you feel the discord upon that grid, and it hurts you, it upsets you. And I know that is why you have turned to me this day. So I am asking you, as Michael would ask you, to hold the vision of peace, of negotiated settlement that honors the freedom of choice that every person, hybrid or human, is entitled to. If you are to look, and I invite you to do so with me right now, at this area called the Ukraine, we have spread it far wider into Europe, towards China and Russia, centered over the Crimea. We have placed the golden grid like a netting of protection. Your star brothers and sisters who have been bathing the entire planet with pink have intensified. So through this golden netting is floating the pink mist of peace, of harmony, of calm. It is not the blue of the mother, because what we are doing in this sacred partnership is igniting the pink diamond flame of each person's soul self, their universal self, their truth, their soul design, helping them to know their clarity. For some, because of the way that humanity has trained its way, that is the only way I know how to put it. When people have their backs against the wall, now they feel they must fight their way out of a corner, that they must react in violence. Now you, my beloved light workers, you know that this is not necessarily so. Look to Gandhi, look to the Dalai Lama, look to Mother Teresa. There are many human examples of how to deal with power and force. I know I've gone on, but let me tell you, we, the mother herself, Michael, Raphael, Uriel, Metatron, I, Sananda, all of us are asking you to hold the vision, the vibration of peace. We are in sacred partnership. And often you say to us, show us that we are in sacred partnership. Well, let us do it in this instant together. Let us change the energy of discord, disruption, and violence into negotiated settlement and peace. And do not worry, a delay is but a moment in time. What has already been started will not be halted. And so when we let go of all that, all those issues within ourselves, we're actually creating peace on earth and gender equality within, because it's a power struggle within that creates war on the planet. And just this is all about grace, also the infinite grace being pink. So that pink that the galactics are infusing the golden grid with is also filled with grace. Okay. So, and just knowing that this path that we're on, it's not a straight line, it's a spiral. We continually keep coming back to the center. And the more evolved we become, up comes, what needs to be looked at within the without is often a reflection of what's going on within. So that war between the masculine and the feminine within, we see reflected in the without often. So, and we'll go more into this in the next channeling. But this is Archangel Gabrielle at the very end here. And she says, let me be clear, there's no such thing as mild abuse. Yes, there is an anathema in many countries and in many practices in the name of society or religion or power, but any abuse is unacceptable, because it is not only not the truth of the mother, father, one, it is not the truth of who humans are. It is not the truth. Okay, so that's that for that. And we'll just come back. Okay, so much information. And then there's a whole nother channeling that goes in deeper into the balancing of the masculine and the feminine within. But interesting how she brought up war first. That it's really a war within that creates that war without. Yes. Does anyone have any comments or anything to say? Paula?
It's that she brought up Ukraine
Yeah, so interesting.
in 2014.
Yep. It was a power struggle back then.
And And I'm not sure what to believe anymore. I mean, you know,
Mhm.
is Ukraine, I know Ukraine has been used by a lot of world superpowers
Mhm.
to do money laundering and other things. And so, it's the people there that have been put through the ringer.
Mhm.
But it's been going on for so long.
Mhm.
And
But I don't even know if we really know like exactly what's going on, because how much of the news is fake news too?
I'm so confused anymore about all of it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So I think, yeah, I think often in the reading room, I have said what we're witnessing there is like a power struggle between the masculine and the feminine, because that's what's happened on this planet for years, is the gender inequality and the power of Russia to go in and just, do what they're doing. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, like she said, any kind of abuse is not acceptable anywhere.
Mhm.
Mhm. But I don't know. It was interesting to hear what she said 8 years ago about it all.
I know.
Mhm. And oil and gas. I mean, anyways, the things that we should be focusing on, new energy, and just letting those old systems diminish within ourselves. As we become more and more conscious, there will be no war, because there's no war within. Because I mean, the universal law is as within, so without. Mhm.
How do you find the peace within
Mhm.
when I'm finding myself like I I don't understand because I don't know. I don't know what to trust anymore. And
Mhm.
so I'm finding myself just saying, I don't know. So therefore I just have to forget about it. I mean,
Mhm.
is that what you guys are doing too? Do you just do you just try to push it all out of your head or?
Well, personally, I don't really follow the news too much. What I've been focusing on is looking at the old family systems. And right now, so interesting, because I'm going into the family home to help my mom because she had a stroke. And I'm
Yeah.
witnessing some horrific behavior of my father.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, how much have I observed? How much of that have I absorbed? Uh,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
without even knowing it. This is how insidious the belief systems are. And my daughter now is living with me because the man she's been with has been abusing her for like a year. So we're like, okay, we see the whole picture now. You come and live with me, and we'll chart a new path, because it's just insidious how it comes down through the family lines. But that is what's within. So therefore creating the without. So no wonder we have war. So I feel like the most important work is the within, and really letting go, forgiving what we've witnessed, so that we do come to peace within, so that we neutralize what we've witnessed.
Okay.
Yeah. So if dad was more controlling or mom was more controlling, just get to the point where we're not holding that within in a way of angst, because it's the angst that creates the war. And so you can see there's the gender inequality right there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I've discovered that what my ego wants is love.
Mhm.
So as I'm going through this, um, I can feel more at peace because now that I recognize that, hopefully I can listen when it comes up.
Mhm. Yeah, and this is the clarity and the purity that the mother's given us, so that we can understand what we're still holding. Because oftentimes we can say, oh, I'm in love with the past, but are we really? You know what I mean? Like, okay, so it comes up, the old systems come up, and are we truly at a neutral?
Out of neutral or at a neutral?
At a neutral, feeling peaceful about what we've witnessed. And one way that I found is to bless, you know, say we've struggled with difficult people, like in the family, to bless them as our greatest teacher, because they taught us what doesn't work. They taught us what we're still holding on to. So when you're in that place of blessing them for that teaching so that we can literally let it go, that's been really powerful with me. Yeah, Steve, you're on mute.
There we go. I guess I just want to invite people, when they consider what we're talking about, not to see it as finding peace. So much depends on whether we recognize something, right? Like a wisp of bliss can come up. And if I don't recognize it, it just comes up and it goes. But if I recognize it, if I say, oh, you're bliss, you know, then it goes like this, you know, and it occupies the whole space. And it's the same with peace. If we don't recognize, oh, this is peace, it's already there. We already have it. Then it doesn't unfold. When I was at Xenia Retreat Center and had the experience of seeing the self was not bright. It was more or less translucent. And later I asked the mother about this, and she said, oh yeah, we kept it very low, because if we left it, if we allowed it to be high, you would have gone off to the Himalayas or something. You wouldn't have stuck around and done the job that we've agreed you do. But the one thing she allowed me, two things, I guess, was to experience the feeling that went along with the self. And that feeling was, as a matter of fact, it was purity and innocence, but also peace, because you couldn't have purity and innocence without peace. Peace, for me, how can I say this? When our minds are troubled, we're not very strong, so to speak. We're pretty weak. You know, we can't think well, and we don't make good decisions, and all the rest of it when we're violent or angry or those kinds of things. Peace, how can I say this? When it's not that we're in peace, when peace manifests, when peace arises from us, gosh, I forgot what I was going to say.
Like, well, we're creating peace with the past.
Yeah, but that's not what I was going to say, dear. We are strong when we're in peace, because there's nothing knocking us off our ground. We feel strong in the ground we stand on. When I'm in peace, it's as if my stance it's as if I'm rooted to the ground. You know, I'm just really very stable. And this is because all this is gone. If we continue to clear our upsets using either a number of the processes that Kathleen has come up with, or the upset clearing process, if we continue to scrub and clean ourselves of these patterns, both the vasana and the behavior patterns that they give rise to, which exist after a while independent of the vasana, we just do this all the time. If we cleanse those, if we experience them through to completion and they lift, what's underneath is peace. And that's what I found in the course of clearing. Constant comment went away about 2 years ago. Just a few days ago, the feeling of unworthiness left.
Mhm,
God, that was a huge relief for me.
mhm,
So we don't find peace because if you think about it, if you're finding peace, you're using the peaceful one to find itself, right? You're busying the one you're looking for, right? I am looking for myself,
mhm,
right? So finding doesn't work for a number of reasons. But being peace, committing to being peace,
mhm,
etc., that works. Cleansing ourselves work.
mhm.
Okay, I've spoken enough, I think.
No, that's good. That's excellent. When I use the word finding, I think I meant um,
Being open
being
to,
able to because it's all the disarray is coming from the past. It's not coming in the moment. It's the past. We've had thousands and thousands of years of disarray on this planet, and the belief systems, I mean, they're really tricky. I mean, we've spent years already looking at them, like consciously looking at them, to help create peace on the planet, because it's from within that all the wars are erupting. Like it's if we were our solid peace, like knowing that's who we truly are, there wouldn't be any war.
Yeah.
But we're still carrying that somehow, that lack of self-worth and that lack of self-love.
Mhm.
And yes, peace is just the natural underneath it all. Like Steve said, it is.
It's our nature.
Yeah, it's who we truly are, for sure.
Mm.
And I found the deeper I am in forgiveness of what I've witnessed, especially in this life, then I am peace. But then,
Kathleen, how are you getting to the point of forgiveness? Are you just accepting it for what it was and you're like, okay, that's what it was?
yeah. And then even saying, I am, because it's almost like the thought patterns of disarray have embedded themselves within the mind. So we're creating new pathways when we say, I am. And that I am is in alignment with our divinity, with our heart, with all the chakras.
It also helps to see there's a well-known saying that when we resent another person or hate them or try to manipulate them or all the rest of it, that we're, especially if we blame them and try to manipulate them that way, that we're drinking poison, hoping the other person will die.
Oh,
Okay? And when I really get that this lack of forgiveness on my part is, a spoonful of poison and a spoonful of poison, when I really get that, there's survival value to forgiving, so to speak. All of a sudden it comes up in a different light for me.
Yeah. And
So on the forgiveness part, how do you work through that if the behavior doesn't change?
it doesn't,
So
yeah. Okay.
how, I mean, at what point, because there's got to be boundaries, right? It's like you don't want to invite him to dinner.
No.
So like I can forgive, but I would hope at some point I've either got to remove myself from the situation because it's so painful that, you know what I mean, to continue to be abused or to, you know what I'm saying? Does the other people also, I would think, would have to recognize their own behavior
but I don't think it really matters as long as we are in the place of forgiveness of everything. That creates natural boundaries, especially when you're in gratitude for their teachings, because teachings can be good, bad, or ugly. We're always learning something, and it's our decision whether to involve ourselves with that being. And what I found is forgiveness, compassion, and gratitude, acceptance, non-judgment, and gratitude it creates incredible boundaries all around. And as Archangel Michael said, we don't have to engage. We don't have to invite the person over for dinner, but forgiveness sets us free.
But then if you're married to somebody,
Then
or it's your parents or your sister or your best friend, there's some huge decisions that have to be made.
exactly. And I'm just going through it with my daughter right now. We assessed the situation. We said we'd give ourselves 6 months. It's been 4 months, and she came to the conclusion, because it had to be her conclusion, but I was right in there beside her with her. I was taking this fellow for walks every week. I was learning all about him. We both were. She did the sleuth work, and we just realized this is untenable. It is not safe for a child to be raised in this environment. She made the decision, Mom, let's go. And so now she's living here. Okay. And now we just see where the chips fall. But it's really interesting to see all that play out and just see where the belief systems came from. Because now I can see, because I'm in my family home, seeing the patterns with my parents right now and how it's rippled down all the way to my daughter.
Well, you do know in Catholicism that divorce is like a big old no-no. They teach that is not, so again, oh my gosh, this is just a big old web.
And I think that's a really old belief system as well, of control, because that's why I stayed in my marriage for 25 years. And look what happened to my daughter.
Yeah. And I've got a son who's going through the same thing. He will not give himself permission, even though he does not want to be in marriage anymore. Uh-huh. And, to be 30 years old now, and for his mother to have told him, divorce, can't get divorced and all that. And now I don't believe that anymore. Right. Mm-hmm. Paul has had an epiphany, and he's like, boy, you are really changed. That's not what you told me. And I'm like, I know. I'm having to eat a lot of crow. Mm-hmm. And it's really difficult to try to break. It's not even a breaking. I'm trying to get him to be compassionate with himself. Mm-hmm. And but until he decides for himself, I'm watching the angst and the anger and the sadness and it, you have to remove yourself from that situation to be able to heal, to be able to move on, to be able to forgive, to be able to thank that experience.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of these experiences where we do come together in a relationship, sometimes it's a healing of other lifetimes. Sometimes we just need to come together and do some work to balance ourselves. They're a gift. Every relationship is a gift. And whether you stay together or not, it's a decision. It's free choice. And if it's better to move on, then it is. And there's no judgment from the higher realms ever. And that's the system of the church that God is punishing.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Chad really he really believes that God is going to send him to hell for getting divorced.
Yeah. And you can tell him for sure that's not true.
I have. But I mean, that's.
Yeah. Okay. So higher self talks as well can help a lot. And I can send you the wording for that, where you speak from your higher self to his higher self. And then when you do have the conversation in person, it's much easier.
Yeah, I've done that more than once. I lay here at night a lot and do.
Yeah, I've done it over and over and over and over and over for years, sometimes with certain situations, because they're so insidious.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more of us doing this work of breaking these old belief systems, wow, it's so powerful. Good work, Paula.
Paul is struggling.
But you're willing to look at it though. You've gone deep.
Yeah, I have.
I knew that my family held belief systems, but I didn't realize to the extent this year. This year's been a real eye opener. Yeah, and I feel that we've all done this, and that's why the Ukrainian war is at the surface, because it's old gunk. It's there, and I heard that from Gabrielle right before we started this. This is 8 years later and look at the work we've done. That's why we're witnessing what we're witnessing. And I also believe, and this has come out of me in the reading room, that it's time for us to say enough. It's 2022. We shouldn't be at war with anybody.
Right.
And whether that will happen on a world stage, I know that Thomas Hubel is doing some really big collective peace work. You know, there's certain galactics that Gabor Mate's all over Europe doing talks. This is fantastic. So we really are getting somewhere as a planet. And just each of us continue to look at what we witness between mom and dad and siblings is huge, because it ripples into everything. And just accept it for what it was, get to the place of neutral, and then all war stops. And gratitude, like just bless it. Okay, we learned so much. And what they wanted for us was never to forget this war. Never, ever, because we don't want to repeat it. We don't want to repeat it. That's why we will never forget. That supposedly we're supposed to have like 10,000 years of peace or something, Steve, I heard. I still remember that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, moving forward.
Actually,
I mean,
I
after 10,000 years, we're
1,000.
going to do this again?
Well, I don't know about that, but
I don't want to be here. I don't want to go through it again.
You won't be here. The next ascension that this team we are is going to be participating on is from the 7th, I guess, to the 8th or 9th. I don't know what dimension they're going to, but that's in 200 years.
Is it going to be this painful?
No, because it's from the 7th, which is the Christ
Thank you.
consciousness. Yes.
Because this has been a booger. You know, every time, like you were talking the other day, Steve, about the ebbs and the flows, you know, I've been like hanging down in the 30-foot depth lately. And I'm like, I feel like I'm going backwards some days.
Well, you remember the article, I'm reactivated, yippee?
Yes.
The only time you really have the Boston there in front of you to deal with is when you're reactivated. So
I know it should be
yippee.
a gift, and I'm telling you, I forget about that until it's over, and then I'm like, well, heck.
Okay, it'll come again. Don't worry.
Guys, this has just been
Experience the Boston through to completion. Peace lies underneath. You'll find it. Oh God, did I say that?
yeah.
There.
you'll find it. Yeah.
You'll find it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. I know that word find. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll encounter it. Oh, I don't know what to say.
That's okay.
It's
I get
already
what you're
there.
saying.
We just
But,
have-
The only reason you're doing this is to help somebody else through it. So you have this experience and you can say, look, dear, I went through this. I can help you through this. So you're going to be able to help somebody else through this, Paula. Okay?
I hope.
You'll be able to help. You'll be able to help lots of people.
Yeah, and even we don't even have to speak about it. It goes into our field, and then our field does the talking. So everywhere you go, you're holding that you've evolved to this degree, and it goes wherever we go. So it's not like you have to say, and this is the step, and this is the next step, because everyone has slightly different process too. Yeah.
I know it's like, I don't believe you, Lillian. I know you're full of crap, but
No, I do. I get it. It's just, you know, that I still have those. I know I'm not like, I'm not professing to be something wonderful, whatever, but I would feel really good and like, feel like I've made it done a really good job or whatever. That sounds corny, but, and then I'll slide right back down. It's like going up a slippery slide, and then I slide right back down, and I'm like,
But is it for the same reason? Is it for the same experience? It sounds to me like, yeah, the process is there, the what happens is there, but it sounds to me like its cause is different.
Well, there's a few that are same triggers.
Well, I don't mean it that way. I mean it like when you experience this stuff, whatever it is, when you experience it, it may not be your reaction may be the same, but the trigger is different, even though it's a little bit different. So it's not necessarily the process needs to be changed, but other than that, you use the trigger and use it as a positive thing instead of a negative thing. But
Yeah.
how you change the process is
I find myself being able to bring myself back to center quicker.
good.
Yeah.
Right on.
But
That's
Can I
it.
just-
That
can I
really is it. Mhm.
Can I mention one thing, and that's that my antenna goes up the
Mhm.
minute I hear somebody say they're wanting to change another person over there. Because as you noted, that's not a very fulfilling process often, people don't change.
no.
When I go to change myself, I have to get down to such a deep level to actually make a decision that actually does change the whole thing. It's
Mhm.
a very deep process. I made myself a promise because I'm going to be a CEO later on. And I made myself a promise to see first what I can do in the situation. But I'm not any longer trying to change anybody. I have a roommate, Sarah. She's 36 and she had no house at one point. So suggested she come live with me. And we've been living together for 7 years. And every time I get into trouble is when I try to change her. And she'll turn around to me and she'll say, will you let me be me?
Yeah.
And also, since I'm going to be a CEO, it'd be far better for me to adapt to the circumstances and try to beat my employees to adapt. Which they
Right.
probably, they will, but they won't. So I favor, I'm going very lightly on trying to change people now. Kind of, first of all, can I change myself? And second of all, why am I doing it?
And what I find too, everything seems to relate back to what we witnessed as little kids.
Oh, yeah.
The more we neutralize whatever happened back then, we can flow like water anywhere. Nothing triggers. It's
Yeah.
rare that anything will trigger you. I've been able to go into these difficult situations with, what I explained earlier, and they don't even affect me. I stand back and observe it and go, look at that.
Yeah.
Whoa, no wonder this is what my life was like, because I can see where it was shaped right from the beginning
Yeah.
and the belief systems I'm carrying. So the more I forgive those belief systems, because they're present everywhere on this planet and insidious, I come to peace within. I am peace. It's not like I already am, but the peace, like it's whatever's on top of the peace create like obscuring the peace just dissolves. And I am, and then it's easy to be gratitude for everything I've learned. So I'm not judging it in any way. And that's the compassion piece. I'm not judging my mother, my father, my siblings, because it really always relates back to one of them. If there's a trigger that pops up and I'm like, oh, okay, well, how does this connect to my family? And then just clean it up, deeper forgiveness, deeper acceptance of what it was, no judgment of it, just go, oh, okay, that's that. And then gratitude, and you're off and running.
Yeah.
It's very balancing. And again, that's working with the tri-flame and the masculine and the feminine energies, because forgiveness is very feminine, like the mother energy, and gratitude is more connected to the sunlight and the father. And we're literally balancing your tri-flame, working with the mother's water of forgiveness, and the father's sunlight of gratitude. And then the
Mhm.
blue and the yellow creates the green, and that's the unity. That's the unity in the community on the planet. That's no war. That's compassion for everything and everyone. No judgment.
Do you, Paula, when you forgive, do you forgive with the Divine Mother?
Yes.
You do. Okay.
It's I'm hung up on the part where to forgive and to find compassion, but then to keep running into the same behavior from the same person in your life over and over. In other words, there never feels like there comes a point where the other person understands also. And I'm thinking, how's that going to work in the long haul unless everybody's trying to get cleaned up, so to speak. Not that I'm going to change them. That's not what I'm saying. I want other people to recognize that how they're behaving has an impact also. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise you start to feel like you're being a whipping post. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so sometimes those people are a reflection of something that hasn't been forgiven in yourself. So that's a really good question to ask. Is this person a mirror for something I can't see within me?
And
Okay.
sometimes it's really hard to see that thing too.
Yeah. And the other thing is, it's never that person. It always goes back to family. This person has just popped up because they're carrying the same belief systems that your family has that are really insidious. It's so hard to see.
Right.
So ask if it's a mirror, and then ask how it's connected to family.
Yeah.
And then clean up the root.
If you did that, then you would not be triggered.
Mhm.
They would do what they do. I mean, Sarah does what she does. But each time, something goes wrong, I complete the Vipassana. And by now she does what she does and it's okay. I wish I could show you. I have 76 plants all around me in this apartment because they're working on the balcony and they asked us to clean it out, right? So Sarah's brought all her 76 plants into the apartment. And, I mean, there are any number of times when I could have gone through the roof, when water was being spilled on the floor or dirt or, all this stuff. But I'm not. And nor am I trying to change her around anything connected with all this. I'm actually amazed at how, I don't know what the word is. Easy.
Patience.
Patient. Me. Patient. Whoa. But this is the cleansing, right? The Vipassana.
Yeah. And this is the fifth dimension. This is mastering the fifth dimensions with patience and humor, managing change. And that's what we're all learning right now.
The one thing that occurs to me is we are still all one. So whatever you do for yourself, you can do for other people. You help other people. So I'm not sure how you see that, but for me, it represents that I am a part of God and everything else, and it makes me feel it's just easier for me that way.
Yeah, that's becoming one with God. That's for sure. That's your pink flame in the middle. One with self-worth, self-love. Yeah, very good. That's good.
Can I mention one more thing to Paula?
Sure.
It wasn't until 2015, March 13th, 2015, that I found out that I came to know what love was. And so I'm 68 years old, right? Up until that time, I haven't known what a woman wants from me. It's like, they want something, but I don't know what it is. Even if they say, love, well, I would say, well, what? What are you talking about? Once my heart opened and love, raced in like a tsunami, then I knew what people wanted. And not only that, but then I had access to it, right? So
Yeah.
your son may not have the slightest clue what love is. Not the slightest clue, doesn't know what a woman wants from him and doesn't know
Yeah.
how to provide it. I mean, what do I do? So just
Right.
keep that in mind. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good. Has this helped at all?
Yeah. It has.
Okay.
Yeah, you're always welcome to bring this up because this is a great, great topic. We can go on and on and on and on, and it benefits everyone. And it goes out to the collective too, because there's so many people struggling out there that have no idea this is what we're doing nowadays.
Right.
Are
Mhm.
you able to come on Friday nights?
I was going to suggest that too.
This Friday night, no, I'm heading back out to the Montana house tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Well, what I'm saying is every Friday night, our time, you're in what, the Eastern time zone or the Central?
Central.
Central. Okay, so
Probably 9 o'clock because we do 7 o'clock here, PST. So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Central.
And I'll be going to Mountain Time for a couple of weeks, and then I'll be coming back to Central Time.
Mhm.
Well, the point is we're here on Friday nights and this is the kind of stuff we talk about. So if you want to talk more, you're welcome.
Yeah,
Love
I need to
have
do
you.
that.
Mhm.
I need to do that because I probably am,
Mhm. But this is
Yeah.
really timely for this because it's all about knowing we are peace within. And it generally starts with these old belief systems and the gender inequality within the homes that we witnessed. That is underneath all war, the power struggle. So it's very rare you have a family home where there's no power struggle.
true.
Mhm.
After a few years, yeah.
Yeah. So that's war. That's what war is. That's what Gabrielle was saying. That's the power struggle that we're witnessing about oil and gas and waterways and whatever else is going on. Mhm. So when there's no more power struggle within the individual, there's no more war on the planet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I don't think it takes that many of us understanding it really deeply for it to affect the whole planet, because we are one, as Ken said. We are one, and everyone's on the golden grid. And we're being infused with so much energy. The pink from the galactics, the tsunami of love from the mother, the tsunami of one from the ascended masters. I mean, we're just being bombarded with help. And it's in the air, like breathing every breath. There's light and moisture. That's the mother and the father in every single breath we take. So the more conscious we are of that, there's no war in every breath. And we breathe out the oneness. So we're breathing in the water and the light, and it conjoins, and we breathe out the oneness, the green.
Mhm.
It's pretty amazing and
Yeah.
simple.
One of the advantages of this kind of setting, but more on Friday than here, because this is a lecture setting, is that you have a listening. I mean, our advice is one thing, may be useful or not, but what is really useful is listening, so that you get to put everything on the table, right? Oh, there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this, and there's also this. And then you get to see the whole picture and, oh my God, oh, wow, I never saw that. I didn't see how this worked here.
Right.
So Friday is a time that, there's more time for listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, listening is very powerful. So, the more we do that, the more we expand ourselves, the more light we can put out. If we don't listen, we can't put out the light because we don't know what's going on. And we are told many times that we are much more powerful than we think we are.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing we shouldn't forget.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
good. Thank you. from Lake Louise.
Yeah, yeah. And it takes a lot of courage to come to these meetings. So like really pat yourselves, each of you, on the back for showing up to do this, to listen and do this type of work. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
The other side is very grateful.
Lake Louise is a place where a lot of the masters hang out too, so they really love that place.
Yeah, it's Michael's hideaway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amongst others, I think there's a bunch of them there.
Have you ever been in touch with your angels?
Who are you asking?
I can do.
Paula, have you ever tried to listen and see what happens that's deep inside you?
I do quite a bit, but I feel like I have a blockage sometimes.
Okay.
And so I've never really been told what my angel's name is. I know, Kathleen, you told me that if I get quiet sometime and ask, it'll be told to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like I have a mental block.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's like a funny thing, like you'll notice it without on a license plate or something, like will really be brought to your attention and you'll get the nickname or it'll just resonate. Something will resonate. You'll go, oh, that's the name of my God. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're really hard to know because they're so unusual. Like they're not names that we name our kids. No, they're really unusual. They tend to be unusual names. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can just go whatever kind of resonates, like even a 3-letter short, a short piece that resonates, and then I wouldn't worry too much about it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, I can make myself literally ill worrying about whether I'm doing things right or wrong. So at some point I'm like, well, I guess I'll know it when it comes to me, Yeah.
So
I've asked.
we all carry that perfectionism. And that's something the many of us do. Oh my goodness, I've struggled with that all my life. So yeah, that's something that's connected to an old belief system. Like you're whole, like everybody is. Our soul design is whole. And it's just the belief systems that make us think we're not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really
what
simple.
I'm going to say is that, do you know what a smudge stick is?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, have you ever used one? Okay.
No.
Well, sometimes using a smudge stick can help bring you balance. When Lil and I have problems, or when I come home and I'm upset because of something that's happened to me, maybe a driver's pissed me off or something like that, I use a smudge stick and that helps bring me back to balance. And then I can think about things a little clearer. So if you get some sage and you, even if you just smudge your house. I mean, some people talk about smudging their house every day. So if you can do that, maybe it'll help.
There's something magical about smoke. Yeah. Yeah, and that's very indigenous. And we've all been indigenous. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll have to go get me one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't smoke it.
No, light it and go around the room.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Yeah, just sit up there.
With intention.
Yes. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, is that enough for today?
Well, you've left us in good space, Catherine. Yeah. And Paula.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna.
We love you,
This
Paula.
recording could be very helpful
love you
to
too.
people. So I'll leave the whole thing because I think this recording is everyone okay if we leave the recording?
Yeah.
Okay, because it could be very helpful for someone discovering it down the line.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'll stop it right now.